Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly DCI score report brought to you by the Marching Arts Podcast, your guide to all things marching. As always, we're going to start off with our scoreboards. First one's just going to be a ranking based off of the Corps' last show. And then I will read the official rankings off the Drum Corps International site. So, based off of the last show, we have sitting in first Blue Devils at 89.2. We've got Carolina Crown in second at 87.5. Blue Coats third, 87.1, followed by Boston Crusaders, 86.8. Then we've got, where are they at on here? They are way on down here on my list. They are on Santa Clara Vanguard in fifth at 85.7. We've got Blue Stars in sixth at 82.6. Then we've got Cadets 82.05. In eighth, we've got Mandarins at 81.1. In ninth, the Cavies at 80.6. In 10th, we have Phantom Regiment at 80.45. Excuse me. In 11th, we have Blue Knights at 77.75. And in 12th, rounding out our current finals standing, is the Colts at 77.4. Didn't you say at the beginning that Colts was one of the ones that we disagreed on, that I didn't think they were going to make it, and you did?
I can't remember that far back. It's been a whole 4 weeks at this point, I think. Let me pull it up really quick.
Well, while you're doing that, the official score rankings off of the website are based off of the last three performances of the Corps. So here are the official top 12 based according to Drum Corps International. Number 1 is Blue Devils with a score of 86.5. Carolina Crown second, 85.6. Crusaders, 85.5. The Coats, 84.2. Santa Clara, 83.8. Blue Stars in sixth at 81.9. The Cadets in seventh at 80.8. Mandarins in eighth at 79.9. Phantom in ninth at 79.2. The Cavies is 78.5. The Blue Knights is 76.7. And the Colts at 75.5. So a couple of changes in there based off of, a couple of differences to what we have versus what the official ranking is. I still don't totally agree with that. I think that they should go off the previous score, the previous show score. But interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, just to clarify, it's the previous three score totals and averaged out for the Corps. So that's why some Corps are a little lower while some Corps are a little more higher, I guess, because their scores are more consistent across the board.
And still, with that in mind, there's still several Corps that have not performed in a minute. Like the Cadets are in seventh right now, but they haven't performed since the 14th. Since the 14th.
Yeah.
16th. Sorry, 16th. So 4 days at the time of recording.
We got Crossmen also the same way, so it might look like Colts and Blue Knights are pulling away, but that's just because Crossmen hasn't performed in a while. Yeah. We got the same with Jersey Surf. They haven't performed since the 6th, so while they may look like they're super far down the standings, I mean, you look at Pacific Crest, they didn't perform between the 10th and the 16th or the 18th, and they shot up 7 points. So I mean, it's totally possible we see Jersey Surf hop right back into the thing. So definitely can't count anybody out until we are literally at what is it, semifinals?
Yeah, semifinals, and that's in about 2.5 weeks, I think, right?
Yeah,
because we have the Southeast Regionals, what we're going to.
Yeah, in a week and a half.
In a week and a half. So hey, come hang out with us.
Yeah.
July 30th at the Georgia State Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Come say hi. We'd love it. I watched this week and I thought some things were pretty interesting. I did a lot better about keeping up with shows this week.
That's good.
And something that struck me, and you kind of quantified it in numbers on our own personal tab here.
Mm-hmm.
The Blue Devils made their biggest jump this past week.
Yeah.
Because before they've been going up kind of on an average of like just shy of 2 points.
Right.
But on this past week, on the 18th, they had an 85.9 and were sitting in second behind Crown. And then they jumped almost 4 points to
Three,
89.2.
3.2. Yeah. Um, Now it makes me wonder if you look at like the charts, and if you look in our previous thumbnail, you can sort of see the chart. But this week you can sort of see that a lot of the West Coast cores had a bigger jump, especially when you're at the top of the leaderboard. So like let's see, Blue Devils and Santa Clara, and I guess you can sort of consider Blue Coats because they started moving more western than like the other cores, like say Boston and Carolina Crown. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm wondering if maybe the West Core judge or the West Coast judges were maybe judging more harshly than the East Coast judges, or maybe like the East Coast judges were inflating the East Coast cores scores. And so now that we're literally in the middle, like we had talked about, of the country, we're literally seeing all the cores battle head to head, and now we can see that the judges are definitely preferring Blue Devils over Crown and Blue Coats in Boston by a lot. So I think it'll be interesting to see if that um, West Coast versus East Coast like scoring difference continues to bear out for the rest of the season, or if they start to normalize.
See, I think that's an interesting point to bring up. I want to think that here is where it's make or break for some of these cores. We're a few weeks away from finals,
Mm-hmm.
and with the score jumps that we just saw that you mentioned, especially on the West Coast, if that continues, right? They just again back to Devils, they jump 3.3 points.
Yeah, 3.3, something around there.
They if that continues, right, we're gonna see a mid-90s score.
I think higher than mid 90s
And
at this point.
huh?
I think higher than mid 90s because what? They're going to break 90 by the end of this week. So Friday, Saturday. And then they still have 2 whole weeks to break up into the 95 pluses.
But with that though, that means it's going to get a lot stiffer with the other top 4 or 5 because
Yeah.
they're going to do the same thing.
And I guess, like, to DCI's point, maybe we will start to see scores start to stagnate in, like, one core, or, like, just take Blue Coats, for example. One night they might get a 94.2, but then the next night a different judge might be like, no, that score or show was only worth, like, a 94.0. So maybe that's where DCI's, like, average scores will make more sense. But also, like, if anybody is like, well, maybe some cores have more time off than other cores, and that's why their scores jumped a lot higher. The top, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cores, they all last performed on the 16th, and then they performed on the 18th. So it wasn't like one core had more practice than other cores or had more reps than other cores. It was literally just, it all just came down to they had all the same amount of prep time. They all had the same judges, and we are Blue Coats clearly ahead of the pack with a 1.7 point gap difference.
Yeah. It's definitely. Sorry, I realized I was like I'm a mile away from my microphone. I definitely want to see how cores continue to perfect their show. There was a lot of adjustments in the last week. Since we last recorded, a lot of these cores made. I don't want to say significant changes because I don't want to say that they were super significant.
Right.
But as far as cleanliness goes, uniformity goes, a lot of the cores really changed in that respect.
Oh yeah.
And it seemed like this was the week that all the rust is gone for a lot of the cores.
Yeah, I definitely remember
the rest of the rust got shaken off.
Yeah, I definitely remember watching Cavies and Phantom Regiments shows, and like definitely compared to like the beginning of the season, their shows are basically night and day now. And I was just pleasantly surprised, especially in like this day and age of COVID, where we were sort of thinking that COVID was really gonna make this season not saying it wasn't going to be good, it just wasn't going to be the exact same standards that we've come to expect from DCI. But here we are with all the cores sort of proving us wrong, which we love to see because that means we, the fans, get great shows.
Right, absolutely. And to I mean, even on the same token, I said last week that hey, COVID's rearing its ugly head,
Mm,
and uh, that, this begs to differ.
right.
It doesn't look like very many cores took it. Actually, looks like some benefited from the
Yeah, I
COVID.
mean, I guess
So
maybe they got
maybe it was some
more.
of the less productive members got COVID.
Oh no, we can't say that. I mean, like just looking at the scores, the biggest drop we've seen score-wise was just Phantom Regiment from 7-8 down to, or on July 8th down to July 11th. Their score dropped by 1 point, but then the next day their score jumped up 3.5 points. So it really
They made
wasn't.
up for it.
Yeah, it might have actually been like, okay, we need to reset. Let's all gather our thoughts, and then boom, they perform to the best of their ability. So
Do you
definitely,
still feel confident in your top 12 picks?
absolutely not. I looked at our Colts pick earlier. We both said no.
And now here they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally
We could get
possible.
nudged out. We could still be right.
Right. I mean, it's totally possible that they drop out, but just looking at their like progression from 7-1 to 7-19, they're like if you just linearize their gains, it just looks a lot more steeper than say the forecast. So I mean, obviously anything can change as the season goes, and again, Crossman haven't performed since 7-16, so we might see another jump and then they're right back into things. But it's gonna be really hard for Madison. Who else is down here? Music City, Academy, Pacific Crest, and Jersey Surf to catch up at this point.
Yeah,
Unless,
they're going to have to make some ginormous changes. I'm
right,
curious to see when Jersey Surf is going to play next and what that
right,
score is going to look like.
right.
Um,
I mean, Pacific
one
Crest.
thing we haven't really talked. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I
I
cut
was
you
just
off.
gonna say Pacific Crest again hasn't played also, or they didn't play for like a good solid week, and then when they did play, they did have a 6.5 point increase, so maybe they can continue that, and then they'll be right back in the thick of things. Um, but again, they have performed maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, so they still definitely need more reps because come finals time, if your core isn't ready to perform 3 times in 3 days, that could be a disaster as well.
Right. That's why I'm concerned for Jersey Surf as well because they haven't done a show since the 5th
Hmm.
or the 6th. I'm sorry.
Right. And again, we're
And it
not
is the 20th. It has been 2 weeks
right. And
since they
again, I guess this
performed.
is where we can say that COVID has definitely had an effect where some cores just may not have the financial ability to travel as far. And they made the conscious decision of saying, well, let's target certain dates to perform, which is a shame, not of their fault, but because of COVID's fault. So we just want to make that clear.
Absolutely. Excuse me as
Um,
I yawn.
so I guess that's said. What are you looking forward to in the next coming weeks besides the Southeastern Championship?
Well, other than the Southeastern Championship, I am really ready to see uh, this battle between Bluecoats and Boston Crusaders for that third spot.
Well, I don't think we
Um,
can count out. Crown might drop down to third or fourth too.
that's fair, and Blue Stars could make their way up. I'm ready to see. I'm interested to see this battle for second and third. I think right now Blue Devils are pretty solid in their first position.
Mm-hmm.
Um, unless they just absolutely poop on their next show.
Well, I mean, I guess it's totally possible. Maybe all the judges were like former Blue Devil fanboys, so maybe tomorrow, tonight or tomorrow night's scores might just be like back to normal. So who knows? But
Maybe.
I'm assuming with the pedigree of Blue Devils, they're not going to just magically drop like a point or two and then just make it competitive again. So it'll be up to the other 3 cores, maybe add Santa Clara into the mix to catch up to Blue Devils.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good time at the Southeastern Regional here in
Championship.
Atlanta. I'm very excited about it. I know you said besides that, but I have to bring it up. I'm really excited about it.
Right.
Um, and man, it's going to be a battle for the top 12. Anything can happen right now, and I'm really excited about it. Anything else that you noticed this week?
Well, I just want to bring up your point about the Southeastern Championship. Is that I don't even remember the last time the Atlanta Championship was outdoors. And I think because I've been going every year since basically sophomore year of high school, and obviously not including the pandemic years, but it's always been at the Georgia Dome or the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And obviously there's like the Drums Showdown that's like still held in Atlanta, but like it's a lot more local chords instead of like the national tour. So many people may not attend that one as compared to this one. So I think a lot of people are going to be genuinely happy to see chords outside in Atlanta again. But
I also think there's going to be some people that are disappointed that it's not indoors. Because a lot of people got used to the sound of like the Georgia Dome,
and the
acoustics,
and the air conditioning,
and the air conditioning.
But speaking of air conditioning, climate change is not a joke because DCI themselves announced a press release saying that like the past week and the upcoming week, they've all moved their shows back later into the night, as late as they could, without running aground of noise complaint laws. So definitely, if you haven't heard the news about that and you are going to shows in the upcoming days, just make sure to be aware of those schedule changes.
Yep, for sure, because they are really looking out for their members.
Yeah,
or attempting to.
as best as they can.
Absolutely, as they should, especially right now because COVID is back.
Yeah, could you imagine having COVID and then marching in like 110-degree swamp?
Nope.
Swamp juice.
Nope, I could not. I'm knocking on wood, but I haven't caught COVID yet.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we might be in the swamp juice in a couple of nights when we go to Orlando.
That's true. That's true. Go Chelsea. Go Blues.
Go Blues.
Come
on,
this is unrelated to the score report.
Yeah, but if you like football, we are Chelsea fans, so get wrecked if you're not.
Blue is the color. So I think we kind of summed up this week pretty well. A lot of improvements around the board. Good sized jumps in some of these core scores. Ready to see what happens over the next week. And just kind of get us ready for finals. That's in what I want to say 3 weeks now.
2.5 weeks, bro.
So it's coming up. So to review the shows that are happening over the next couple of days, we have DCI Austin, which is going to be a big one. That'll be tomorrow, July 21st. Followed the same night, we're going to have DCI Denton. We're going to have DCI Houston on the 22nd. We're going to have Resound also on the 22nd. The 23rd is the Southwestern Championship. And then followed by the Golden State Showdown. And then Summer Thunder also on that day. On the 24th, we have DCI New Hampshire. That'll be another big one. And on the 24th as well, we have the Diablo Valley Classic. That's for open class, so that's not going to be your world class. And then you have DCI Corpus Christi on the 25th. So we are chugging right along here in the DCI season. We're approaching crunch time for these cores to make those final decisions and make that final push and perform into finals to try to get their spot in that top 12. If you like what you heard or have any questions or comments, you want to argue with us, let us know. You find us anywhere at the Marching Arts Pod. That's POD, anywhere you get your podcasts. But other than that, this has been the DCI Weekly Score Report, brought to you by the Marching Arts Podcast, your guide to all things marching.